up, everybody? Welcome to Demo Days. This is a podcast episode where I give you a sneak peek of some demo games that I've been playing that I think you might enjoy. So on this episode, we are going to be taking a look at 4 games. Most of them are action platformers or precision platformers. So let's get right into it. The first one we got, it's called Stasis Valley. Now, it's developed and published by Nimble's studio. It is an action platformer. And here's the synopsis. Adam, a young man, has descended into a world frozen in time. You have to uncover the secrets and experience a story about grief and confront dangers lurking within the valley. Now, this game is, how do I describe it? What I love about indie games, more specifically, is platformers, even Metroidvanias, is when A, they're pixel graphics, B, they kind of remind me of the old NES games, and C, they just get right to the point. And this one, first off, the music is great, and you're wandering down this just flat plain, nothing really in sight, and then you come into a valley. And then as you traverse through that valley, which is basically a variety of platforms, they're surrounded by the sticky black goo that if you hit, essentially rewinds you and has you start back at the beginning. It just kind of throws you into it. And then at certain points, it starts to inject the story. You're a man that has these memories of a time where you were happy, when you were with the person that you loved, and for whatever reason, you are now in this land. And the interesting thing is you come across a couple characters that actually already know you, and they know why you're there. They're trying to tell you, no, don't do what you're going to do. So it's just very interesting how it kind of plays out. And when you talk about the mechanics, okay, so it is an action platformer, but one of the mechanics that I really enjoy is there's what looks like this liquid, and if you jump in one part of it, you're fine. But if you jump in another part of it, you're not fine. So you have to jump in the part that you're fine in jumping into, so it shoots you back out or ejects you back out the one that you're not okay jumping into. So essentially there's a sequential order, and it's not just on the horizontal plane, but also on the vertical plane as well. And this really comes into play when you are trying to traverse through certain parts of certain levels. When you also combine elements like this sticky goo that you can't touch, it just makes for a very interesting story. Like I said, I played this demo, and at first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this, but then the music just captivated me, and it was really good. I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but it is a game that is definitely worth going back and checking it out. And to be perfectly honest, the reason I say that, even though I've only spent a little time on it, my impressions are that out of 15 demos that I've played, this is one that made it on this episode out of those 15 demos. And some of the other games that I played looked really good, but the storylines just weren't there. The gameplay was, for lack of better words, was trash. And I'm not going to tell you what those games are, because at the end of the day, these are developers and publishers that put a lot of hard work into these games. So I do appreciate that they're allowing me the opportunity to try their games. But this one in particularly, it just did captivate me. And the only reason I didn't keep playing it was I got to a part where there's this, I want to say it's like a mid-level boss, and it's on my tail and I can't escape it. So it is challenging. The skill level is not for the faint of heart. Stasis Level, it's on Steam. Check it out now. Timothy and the Tower of Mew. This is developed by Kaboo Entertainment and published by Playism. It's a classic action platformer. Timothy's grandfather is dead. Timothy, armed with hope and courage, decides to face this deadly test and bring back to life his grandfather. Now, this game instantly reminded me of the old NES platformer games. The color palette, monochromatic, analogous color palette, sick music, excellent sound design, and then just the platforming and that classic retro feel make this one of the games that I absolutely wanted to keep playing. You're Timothy. You basically start off, you go to this tower, start climbing the tower. There's really no enemies that are that troublesome to where they cause you a lot of heartache and frustration. But they do give you a little bit of a challenge. And it's kind of like one of those games. It's almost similar to like the early like Castlevania, Rygar type games where you go to one part of the level to get like a key or something, and then you go to the other part of the level to unlock another portion. So it's almost like a Metroidvania in that you'll keep going around, a lot of exploration, and it just is really fun. But the thing that stood out to me the most for this game was the fact that the sound design was dope. I mean, in one level, you got the same beat kicking, pretty sick. Then you go to another tower and it's another beat, and it's just has like a gritty kind of hip hop chip tune kind of feel, and it's dope. It makes for great gameplay because a lot of times when you get chip tune, it's that adventurous kind of sound, but this is more kind of gritty, has an urban kind of feel to it, and it just sounds dope. Timothy and the Tower of Mew. I can't say enough good things about it. Demo is still out right now. Check it out on Steam. All right, next game that we got is IZBOT 2. This is developed by Daniel Spruce and published by Ruxar. And forgive me if I said that wrong. The genre is a precision platformer. IZBOT has defeated Bedlor and the organic invasion, but in a final act of defiance, Bedlor has uploaded his consciousness into the city's network and turned all the peace-loving robots against our hero. Hence the name IZBOT 2. So obviously it's a sequel. I never played the first one, but what I can tell you about this one is it is absolutely a precision platformer. Automatically, there are short levels, tons of levels, spikes, flames, electric floors, horizontal floors, vertical floors, many levels, and you are on a timer, and the game is just fun. Like I said before, when it comes to these types of games, and I think this is really why I like platformers so much, when you just put the character, basic mechanics, epic music, varying platforming, varying abilities combined with the platforming, to me that just makes a platformer that's great. When you start combining all these varieties of like very in-depth stories that I got to tap into, sometimes I don't want any of that. Sometimes I want to just rage on a platformer that has tons of levels and see how far I can get, and then get stuck on a level and die 121 times, and on the 122nd time, bam, I make it right through. So IZBOT definitely made it on this list. You have to go check it out. Again, this is a demo available on Steam. Precision platformer. If you like these types of games, go check them out. I've had short introductions to these games, but these are the ones that I definitely keep playing in my spare time. So not a lot else to say right now. These are just initial impressions. We'll do a follow-up maybe in a couple more episodes and see where we're at. And maybe by then, get some feedback on if you guys have played some. Okay? Now, let's go to the final game of the episode. Tokyo Rogue. Developed and published by Lunacy Labs Limited. This is a high-velocity parkour platformer. You play as a nimble operative stationed in a futuristic Tokyo. Jump over boiling vats of acid and swing across alleys as you make your way to the rendezvous point and prove your mastery and collect gems to unlock cosmetics. Now, this game is legitimately high velocity. When you start this game, you don't control your character other than two things: jumping and grappling. You jump to make it over these pits that you'll die from, and you grapple to swing from roofs that traverse you across the world. And the music is dope, the color palette is dope, the mechanics are dope. You have a double jump. The one thing that is a little finicky that you do got to get used to is how you grapple, because if you tap and tap, if you tap to hook your grapple and you release too quick, you lose your momentum in your swing. If you tap too fast to grapple again, you don't swing high enough and you have a shorter line, which then you fall to your death, which is exactly what I did. But the good thing is let's say you hit a wall to stop your forward momentum, you actually go back the opposite direction, which made me think of a game, Wonderling, which was kind of the same way. But this game is just so sick. I mean, I was hooked immediately. And this goes back to what I was saying when I was talking about IZBOT 2. Games that just give you a basic mechanic, good music, nice color palette, throw you right in, really not a lot to explain. That's the best game to me, because when you're playing platformers, especially action platformers, precision platformers, parkour platformers, you just want to be able to move and traverse and keep progressing. And there's tons of different levels that you can play. The difficulty ramps up. Sometimes you can make a simple mistake on something so easy, builds up that rage, but then when you pass it and you succeed, all that rage diminishes and you just get that return of excitement and enjoyment. So for me, this one out of these 4 titles was my number 1 demo to play this week, Tokyo Rogue. Number 2 is most likely going to be IZBOT 2. We're going to bring in Stasis Valley as number 3, and Timothy and the Tower of Mew will come in at number 4. So if you play these demos, just go in, type in demos in Steam, type in platformers for another tag, and check these games out. And if you like platformers, you would definitely enjoy these games. Okay? So that about wraps it up on the demo days. We're going to talk about varying demos from time to time. It won't always be platformers. We might talk about Metroidvanias. We might talk about point and clicks, story-rich games, and just anything that interests us, okay? So if you enjoy these episodes, stick around to the podcast, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one, all right? And until then, I'll catch you later. Peace!